Okay, let's get right to it. This is your latest video briefing. It is Tuesday, brought to you by the team here at Bring Me the News. Of course, also brought to you by Novak Weather. I'm Tom Novak. And so, a disclaimer here, I'm just the messenger, all right? I don't create weather. None of us weather people do. But sometimes we do have to bring you bad news because we are the messenger, and I've got bad news, or at least what I consider bad news, in this video. So I apologize. There will eventually be some good news also in this video, but if you're looking for warm weather, and at sometimes, or at least mostly dry weather, you're going to be out of luck here over the next 5 to 7 days because we have a very cold, unseasonably cold weather pattern that is over us right now, and it's going to continue through about at least next Tuesday of next week. So again, like we mentioned yesterday, if you've got tender vegetation, don't put it in the ground right now. All right? Wait for at least another week. I think by the middle of next week, we'll be all in the clear. But until then, there is certainly going to be the potential, even in the Twin Cities metro, for temperatures near or below the freezing mark. And no doubt that good chunks of Minnesota will be below freezing as we get into portions of this weekend and into early next week. Okay, so please refrain from planting any tender vegetation. All right, here's a dry east to northeast flow now over eastern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. It's keeping the clouds and the moisture at bay. It's raining and drizzling, just a crummy day from the eastern Dakotas, western Minnesota into portions of southern Minnesota, then continuing southeast into Iowa. And I'll show you that here in just a little bit. But anyway, the circulation over Iowa is important because it not only is keeping the moisture a little bit further south than most of Minnesota and Wisconsin, but it's also dragging in this dry air from eastern Canada and the Great Lakes region and pinwheeling it back east into Minnesota. Hence why some of us are getting some sunshine. So that's at least a little bit of good news, but it is cool out. All right, take a look at this. These are the surface observations over the upper Midwest. And we've got the radar imagery overlaid on it. And here's just this ugly day going on over eastern Iowa. Rain, heavy rain at times, and temperatures in the mid-40s in eastern Iowa. And then that extends up northwest towards eastern South Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, even up towards Grand Forks, North Dakota. And temperatures are in the 40s where it's raining. Remember, average highs over much of the upper Midwest should be in the 60s and low 70s. So we're talking about temperatures a good 25 plus degrees below normal. That is not good if you like warm weather. And we can even zoom in a little bit further here as we look in over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. We're in the 50s over much of eastern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Get used to that. That's where our high temperatures are going to be, I think, for the next several days. And even some of us may be in the 40s only as we get into this weekend. And then, of course, again, here's the rain over extreme southern Minnesota with temperatures in the 40s. But yeah, no warm weather to be found. Grand Forks at 50. Just in general, really, really cold for this time of year. All right, here's a map that I didn't want to show you, but figured I'd better. And we might as well hit you with it right now. This is the European Computer Model Guidance. It shows the surface features, including precipitation and type, as we head into Sunday morning. This is Sunday morning now, okay? And take a look at what it shows. Blue is the indication of snow, and pink is ice, okay? And then, of course, green is rain. But there is the potential for snow. Now, I'm not expecting much in the way of accumulation, but don't be surprised if a coating, an inch, or maybe even a couple inches of snow fall over portions of central northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin as we get into late Saturday night and Sunday. Okay, I wouldn't even be surprised. I would not be surprised if even the Twin Cities, which of course is located right here, gets a brief period of rain mixed with snow as we get into Sunday. Okay, and again here, this is the Twin Cities metro here, and this is for Sunday afternoon. Looks like any snow or rain mixed with snow this weekend would change over to rain by Sunday afternoon, but still, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some, at least a touch of snow accumulation across central Minnesota. In fact, the European Computer Model Guidance, and I can't believe it's predicting this, although it still is early May, so I guess it's not that out of reach. We've had snow before in early May, but look at this. It's predicting 2 to 4 inches of snow, even in west central Minnesota for late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So yeah, I mean, many of us here in central and northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin could easily see a few flakes in the air as we go through this weekend. So I apologize for showing you that map, but it is certainly something that needs to be highlighted here in this forecast. And a lot of it has to do with the jet stream. This is the River of Air at 30 to 35,000 feet in the atmosphere. This is where jet airliners put their engines on cruise control. It's also the steering winds in our upper atmosphere. All right, and when you see steering winds coming out of the north and northwest straight down into Minnesota and Wisconsin, that's not good news if you want warm air. Again, here's Minnesota and Wisconsin. Okay, so the winds are coming straight out of Manitoba and Saskatchewan and heading south into our region. This is for this weekend. Okay, even as we get into early next week, that pattern doesn't change much. Even on Tuesday, we still have a northwest flow. So we can expect this cold and seasonally cold weather to last into early next week until finally, and it changes quickly, but finally, as we head into the latter portions of next week and next weekend, our winds come from the Pacific and northern Rocky Mountains of the U.S. and head straight west to east. That's a much milder, warmer regime as we get into later next week. Low level temperatures, by the way, this kind of shows you a good idea of how the cold air is just going to be sitting over the upper Midwest. This is for Friday. Look how cold it is over Minnesota and Wisconsin. A cold air mass for this time of year, no doubt about it. Then a reinforcing shot of cold Arctic air arrives Sunday and into Monday. This is Sunday, and then as we get into Sunday night and Monday, look at how the cold Arctic air is really situated over much of northern and eastern United States, basically northern and eastern North America. It's going to be much colder than usual as we go through time here over the next 5 to 7 days. Good news though, and again, I wanted to bring you some good news. This is the European Computer Model Guidance for Friday of next week. Okay, so yeah, we're talking a good 10 days in advance, and I know that's a long ways away, but we need some hope, right? Look at the warm air surging up out of the desert Southwest and out of the Gulf of Mexico into southern Minnesota and Wisconsin. Okay, so there appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel here if you want warm air. I would expect temperatures to be near or above normal, which would mean upper 60s and low 70s by later next week and weekend. So yeah, a little bit of good news coming out of this, but we're going to need to wait a while before we experience that good news. Take care, everybody.